Hey, what's up, good people? Welcome to another FIREDUP KC episode. I am your host, Zeke Wanga, and today we're talking about investing in people. And the legend I have with me today, she is from Texas all the way to Kansas City. She founded an organization, a nonprofit that invests especially in the power of resilient people. Please help me make welcome the founder of the Dancing People, Miss Alex French. How you doing, Alex?
Good, how are you?
Welcome to the show. Welcome
it's awesome
to the show.
Be here.
Backstage, I was saying that I did not, because we were communicating through your organization page, and I didn't have a face to the name. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be surprised today. I'm just gonna let you show up and see who it is. So I'm surprised, but it's gonna be fun today. How you doing?
I'm doing really awesome. Thank you for asking. Yeah, there's 7 of us on board, so
yes.
I am the CEO and founder, but there's a lot of people underneath me as well, and we're a pretty diverse group, which I think gives us a unique edge.
That's awesome.
Not a lot of nonprofits can say that. Yeah.
That's awesome. So for those who do not know who Alex French is, give him a brief bio. And I'm just gonna be funny. Do you speak French since your last name is French?
No, I do not speak French. I'm actually Italian and I speak Arabic, so
wow,
I'm
okay.
a living paradox.
Wow,
yeah.
okay, now, that's awesome. So give us a little bio about who Alex French is and how we kind of got to where you are today.
So I am originally from Lubbock, Texas, just 30 minutes west of a little itty bitty town called Levelland.
Okay.
Literally level land. It's flat dirt. They say you can watch your dog run away from you for like 30 minutes, and you really can. It's that flat out there. But a very small town. I grew up in a very diverse community.
Okay.
And I never really felt like I fit in. I was bullied a lot as a kid, and I was always that person that was on the playground trying to, fight off the bullies.
Yes.
I always felt like I was in a position as a protector. I went through high school and put on different coats, trying to be a chameleon, for lack of better words, trying to find my place to fit in and not really ever just accepting who I was.
Yes.
I went to college on a scholarship for the Marine Corps through ROTC, and I was in ROTC for about a semester when I got pushed over a pole with an 80-pound pack on my back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know who it was who did it, but I fractured L4 through S2. And it was a very big wake-up call for me. So I had gone in and I had started international security studies was my degree, with a minor in Arabic and a concentration in the Middle East region.
Okay.
So once that fracture happened, I waited about another semester before I decided to leave ROTC, because I kind of found myself not really wanting to be the person behind the gun, but being the person in front of people, protecting. My boyfriend and I moved to Kansas City, and I was looking at different nonprofits, trying to figure out how I was going to help the world.
Exactly.
And a lot of these nonprofits I saw were creating, and we talked about this a little earlier, these detrimental reliance cycles. And what detrimental reliance cycle is basically where they go in and there's an access issue, and they're perpetuating that access issue. So if you go in and you hand a kid an orange, and you create this reliance cycle where that kid knows to show up every Wednesday at noon to get his orange, you're not really helping him. My organization would go in and teach him how to plant that orange. And not only that, but just invest in his personal power in order for him to feel like he's strong enough to not only plant that seed, but plant it for the community and become kind of like a farmer and, really reach out and be something. So I decided not to join another nonprofit, but to make my own. And that was about in January. Yeah.
Wow, so, man.
Tons of different things.
Talk of, man, that's just an awesome story. Being able to go from ROTC, graduated, and being able to find your own organization now. Now, I am really curious, and I know everyone is curious of this too. How did you come up with the name, The Dancing People?
So that is a very interesting story. When I was about 5, I woke up and I saw these dancing stick figures on the wall, and my mom must have thought I was crazy. They danced out of the room, and I got up out of my bed and I followed them outside. And there was this circle of ivy in our driveway, and at the time a little fountain in it. They ran out there and they were dancing and just kind of twisting around a fountain, and I sat there watching them until they disappeared. And my mom was like, "What are you doing?"
Whoa.
She must have thought I was insane. And for years this vision just irked me. It bugged me. I didn't know where it was. I didn't know what it meant. And in January, upon the time that I decided to step away from the PhD and do my own organization, I was looking for a word for the year, because I like doing the new word instead of the New Year's resolution. It was harmony. So I looked up a couple of pictures for a mood board, and there was a picture of a globe with stick figures holding hands around it.
Wow.
And I connected. It was just one of those moments that it felt like all these puzzle pieces were coming together, and it just was like emotional.
Wow.
And I was like, that's it. I don't know what I'm going to do with that name. Yeah. All I had was a name. That's all I had. But I was like, I know it's got to be the Dancing People.
Wow, the Dancing People.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. Seeing a bunch of stick figures dancing, I would be scared. If I was, I would be freaking out. I would be freaking out. What?
Yeah.
But I think, so I'll tell you, I always tell a funny story, but I think when I was a kid, I used to think I saw visions just because when I close my eyes and open it when there's too much light, I would see, you know how what you see, like
the
when
little sparks?
The little sparks, like, oh, I'm seeing things. They're like, no, you just open your eyes, but I always thought I was, especially in that way. But, so talk about your organization. What kind of people do you help, and what kind of what countries are you guys looking on and working with right now, or what set of people do you guys give scholarships to? How does that work?
So we are investing in the especially resilient individuals. So people that have really impactful stories, that have been through something, people that have used that in order to advance to the next level. So I like to say that there's 4 steps in the process. You first are a victim. And when you get out of that victim mindset, you become a survivor. Yeah. And the survivor mindset is equally as toxic as the victim mindset. Not a lot of people realize that. When you get through that, you kind of get to like a warrior mode where you are willing to fight for yourself. But when you become a dancer, that's when you combine all of those different elements together and you're willing to run back into the fire for somebody else. Yes. So that's who we're looking for. We want to go into communities that need a change and need to see a difference, and we invest in these especially resilient individuals to lead them. And more than that, we couple them in like leadership groups. So imagine sitting like Aretha Franklin and Martin Luther King and all these other influential individuals at a table together and just saying, go. Take care of your issue. Exactly. How do you want to do this? So my organization just sets up the platform. Yes. We look at them and we say, hey, I believe in you. I know we can do this. Tell us how. That's how we get rid of that access gap. We're not going to go in there and say, this is what you should do, as most other organizations do. And I hate that. Yes. They go in and they say, what do you need? And that's what we really want to focus on. And that's where our campaigns go. Now,
talk about your board, because you say you have people from 4 different countries on your board. Give us like how did that happen? How did you connect with other people on your board?
So I connected through some of them in Israel, some of them in Italy, when I was going study abroad from law school, from undergrad, from graduate school. So really just I met these people all over the place. Yes. My vice president, I met my freshman year of undergrad. Okay. I had checked the box that said international student, and I met Ruth, and she is absolutely amazing. She worked like 3 or 4 jobs to put herself through school. Wow. She's a dreamer, and so they had marked her as like an international student, even though she'd been in the States for some time. But she would come in from these different protests with protest signs, and then she'd change her uniform, and she'd go out to work, and then she'd come back, and she was like holding something else, and I was just super inspired by her. Wow. And here we are years later, she's my vice president. And she is from Mexico. So that's country 1. Yes. And then my secretary, his name is Radu Haney. Okay. He is from Egypt, now living in Canada. So I met him abroad, and he was just this super big personality who loves women's rights. He has his PhD now. He teaches 4 different classes, and he's helping me on the media consultancy. Wow. So he is just a brain in and of itself. I absolutely adore him. And then my chief of finance is from Virginia Beach. Okay. She's blonde hair and blue-eyed like I am, but she also has a really good background story where she went through a pretty traumatic childhood, but it created who she was. Yes. And I also have 3 members on what we call our outreach committee. So we've got a social chair, and her name is Ruth, and she's from Ethiopia, but she's now living in Toronto, Canada. Oh, wow. And we have Sathvik Vassam, and he is originally from India. Now he's living in Chicago. And then we have, Cassie, and I can't remember her last name at this time. I think it's Ruiz. And
it's
she
totally
is she is living in Oklahoma City.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. I mean, that is a really diverse, on your board, because I think that gives everyone a different perspective, where it's not just this one person seeing life from their perspective, but you have different people from different countries saying that this is how I see it, this is how I see it, which makes it solution more rounded, where it's not just from one point. Exactly. But let's toast to being able to find something that you're passionate about, because I think That's important, being able to go from, I like what you said, being someone who, regardless, you want to be someone who is behind the gun, but someone who's being in front of people.
Exactly.
So when you talk about this detrimental cycles, have you heard of the thing, I think it's called the white savior mentality? Is that like part of it, like where, people go into different countries and they say, this is what we think you need and this is what we think you need. And I think that also comes in intact with that, where you're not asking people, how can we help? We are saying, we got all this money and we got our funders, so we will tell you what we want to do for you guys. So I think it's really important being able to ask the person, how can we help you, and what areas can we help you become the person who builds and not the person who comes back to get a handout every single time, right?
Yeah.
Now, tell us this. What are some challenges that you are facing and your organization is facing that you think if we got this help, it will help us move a lot faster?
I think honestly the biggest thing we need help with is building that platform. We're a pretty young organization. I started this officially just in May, but the more voices, the more backup we have, I think the stronger the organization is going to get, because a lot of the platform is what I like to call soft power. So in international studies, there's this idea that there's hard power, which is like military power, and there's soft power. And more on the international chessboard, there's no longer just two players. It's not just state, it's state and non-state.
Yes.
So that's where international organizations are coming in, and we can really shape the future. And I don't think that's where a lot of other international organizations realize there is this power, and the power is in the people. So the more people we build behind it, the more individuals that we invest in, the more we're going to be able to shape the world in a truly fascinating way. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is building that audience and building up that power so that we can get to where I feel like we can accomplish a lot.
Wow. Let's move on to the fun side of things. So you are in KC for a couple months now, right?
Yeah.
What have been some fun things you've done in KC so far?
I love the food here.
The food is good.
Honestly,
I'll
amazing.
tell you that, yes.
Yeah, there's people from all over the world in KC, which I had no idea. I just thought this like little Midwestern state, especially coming from Texas, I was like, surely it's just, one of the run of the mill. But no, there's amazing food all over the place. We've got a running list of like 30 different restaurants that we want to go through.
Okay.
I went to my first NFL game last week, and that was amazing.
So because we are known for the loudest stadium in the U.S.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
my voice is still recovering.
Yeah, it's buzzing. Like you could hear it from like a distance away. But so you are in KC. What would you say? Coming to KC, you discover this, because I know KC is very diverse. It seems like when you look into it, you're like, KC is a Midwest state, but when you come into it, it's really fun. So let's move to a section where we're going to play a bit of a fun game, if you would say. But first, I want to say thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
It's
thank
an honor
you for having me.
Share your story and being able to start this organization where you're helping others be able to find their true potential and find their fire as well. No pun intended, FIREDUP KC. But let me ask you this. I have this new game. I'm calling it Where Should I Go? So for you, what are the top places you've eaten in Kansas City for you?
Oh, Peanut is definitely the number one. We're actually walking into a liquor store, and I smelled it. I was like, what is that smell? It smelled so good.
Wow.
And I look, and there's just this little itty bitty red sign that says Peanut.
Yes.
And we walked in, and it's this just giant sports bar. It was like a hole in the wall.
Yes.
And we go like once every week, every 2 weeks now for their wings. They have like actual chicken wings, so it's not just like the thigh or the wing. It's like the whole thing.
Yes.
And their medium sauce is just crack.
Peanut.
I love it. Yeah,
Okay,
Peanut.
cool.
It's called Peanut.
Do you go to any networking events or stuff like that in KC?
I was going for a while, yeah. There's a group called, I think it's the Lion Team.
Okay.
And it's out in Overland Park, and it's led by this man called Alan Little. And I was put in touch with him through a chiropractor I was working with for a little bit.
Okay.
His name's Dr. Whitmore, but he put me in touch with Alan. And Alan is just an absolutely amazing, inspiring individual.
Yes.
I think that he's been, there's been a couple of articles written up in KC about him.
Okay.
But he right now is working on creating other speakers. And so he's taken what he's known and what he's learned, and he's like trying to motivate other people as well. So very similar mindset, but he's a part of this huge networking group. So I jumped in as soon as I could.
Yes.
But, and through him, I also met TJ. So that's how I found you.
Yes,
yeah.
TJ Robert, that's my guy. TJ is
it's a big loop.
But let me ask you this: are there some leaders in Kansas City that that inspires you a lot, that you would you like enjoy their business or whatever they do? Name like maybe three.
So I don't know too many yet, but Alan Little would definitely be up there. Yes. And I think you as well. Your page and your podcast is amazing.
Thank you.
I was going to say, no, what you're doing
I'm
is
on the
phenomenal.
list. I'm on the list. I'm excited.
You've definitely made the list. And, you know, like I said, I haven't met too terribly many people, but what you're doing is very similar to what I'm doing. And so seeing somebody else that I can resonate with that with, you know. I would say that you're a fellow dancer in that respect, you know.
I dance too, but in a different way.
In a different way, yeah.
But that's awesome. Well, thank you, Alex, for coming on the show. It was a great episode. I really enjoyed being able to kind of hear her story and being, because the most important thing for me is the business is cool, but I want to know the person behind it. And first, you surprised me today by showing up, because I did not know who I was going to see, but it's fun to finally meet you in person. And I don't know if it's strategic of you making your page in a way that it doesn't have a face on it. There's no face to it. Yeah. It's just the people on it.
Exactly.
Is that strategic?
Yeah, that is strategic. I want people to realize that we're not just, I'm not the face of the organization. I am just one of the multiple minds working to get us out there and to make positive change in the world. Wow. Like I said, we have people from all over the world, and that's what I want them to see. I want people to see that, when I say diversity, I mean diversity. I'm not just saying that and then we have 5 people that look exactly the same and have exactly the same background. We're all different people from different backgrounds and cultures, and it's just made a powerful mix.
Wow. You got Egypt, you got India, you got Canada in there.
And Mexico.
Mexico. That's a whole mix. That's like so many different countries. So again, thank you for coming. So lastly, how can people get in touch with you, your organization, if they want to get more info or be able to? Because I know you guys are a crowd fund, you guys raise funds from people and stuff like the donations.
Yes, we do.
So how can people get in touch and how can they help?
So you can go to www.thedancingpeople.org. Okay. We also have an Instagram, and it's just _thedancingpeople_. We have a Facebook page. It's the same thing, The Dancing People. Thankfully, it's a very unique name, so we're very easy to find. Yes. But yeah, I absolutely recommend you go to the website or you try to join in on one of our book clubs. I know we're giving away those books pretty soon. So if you need to find your fire,
you know where to go, The Dancing People. Well, again, thank you for coming on the show. But for those watching from home, wherever you are, thank you for tuning in. It's been another FIREDUP KC episode. It's your host, Zeke Wanga. You know what to do. Please subscribe. Go to all our platforms at FIREDUP KC. And if you go on Roku, go to Roku at Kim Young TV, and you can find this episode. But you know what to do. Stay fired up. Don't give up. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye for now.